Hello, I'm Robert, fact checker and science blogger and helping people scared of many things. And during the internet, I've had to do lots of fact checking for people scared of COVID-19. And I followed the World Health Organization. I watch every single one of their press briefings and their social media Q&As. And that's basically the background in which I help them and I help them get in touch with the right resources. Anyway, this is something that people, second of the four things I'm going to talk about, the people who contact me very often simply don't know. And they've missed out on the information somehow. This is the importance of isolating from others in your household. Now, I just want to jog your memory. Some of you may have seen this viral video back in January. And it's to remind you about how we used to think about it back in January in Europe. We used to think it would be a very deadly virus. Indeed, we thought that the Chinese were underplaying how bad it was. And then we had these videos like this chap who was a frontline health worker, and he used a similar methods to look after his wife at home. And he was considered to be very brave, looking after his wife in this way. So if you look at this, and then bear in mind that now, just like today, in the United Kingdom, throughout Europe, throughout the United States, there are spouses looking after, there are people looking after their spouses, their husband or wife, without taking any of these precautions, knowing that they've got COVID-19. The disease has not got any less deadly. And it's a small risk compared with flu, but people don't generally die of flu when they're young. And then it's a very small risk, but it wouldn't happen with flu. And then if you're old, then if you're over 90, then the risk is quite high. It's like Russian roulette. Of course, most people survive Russian roulette, but you have 1 chance in 6 of dying if you're an old person. So you don't want your granny in your household if they're 90, or your great-grandmother or something, great-grandpa, to be put at risk of this at all. So that's that. Now, back another image that you might remember from in January. These big wards that filled entire stadiums that the Chinese built, but people don't remember why they were built, or they never realized. These were built for people with mild symptoms, like the spouse. If you're at home and your spouse has got COVID-19, if it was China, then they would, in Wuhan, they would have gone to one of these isolation wards. Even with the mildest symptoms, as soon as they tested positive, off they go. Now, the reason China did that is that they found it's a very unusual disease, this one. It spreads via super spreading. It's not so much a super spreading person, as a super spreading event. And it's quite remarkable that very often, even a spouse, partner, a lot of close contact, but they don't pass COVID-19. It's very common that a spouse doesn't have COVID-19, especially if you're interrupted early, as soon as they develop symptoms. Even though you're most infectious the day before symptoms and the day after, it's very rare. It's sort of like 1 in 5, and it'd be less than that by that. I'm not sure what the figures are as to how many pass it on. If you do this proper isolation, it's very low. So the Chinese found that 80% of the transmission, I think it was happening, and it still is like that. 80% of the transmission is happening through super spread events in households. And you can stop most of that by doing this. And this is one of the things that the World Health Organization, one of their things they really wish us to be able to do is to isolate properly and make a huge impact on the pandemic. And so many people don't know that, and they don't realize. So it's almost a fatalistic attitude. I've got it, so therefore everyone in my household has got it. My granny will just have to take her chances with it. And that's just not the way it is. If you've got COVID-19, your granny almost certainly has not got it. And your spouse almost certainly has not got it. And you should isolate. So that's one of the 4 things that the people I talk to, they just don't know that. So many people don't know that. And then if you go and look very carefully, if you go and hunt around on the website, if you're in the US CDC, look at the US CDC website, I'll go off the page, then they have all this, you identify different caregiver for other members of the household, maintain 6 feet between the person who's sick and another family member. So you have a particular caregiver should be someone who is not at high risk of severe illness. And a different caregiver if there's someone who needs help with cleaning, bathing or other daily tasks. So if you've got your great-grandparent and they need help with that, don't have to use the same caregiver who's looking after the person with COVID-19. And need to have a good airflow, open the window, maintain 6 feet, sleep head to toe. That's if you have to share a room with someone else who has got COVID-19. You can still protect yourself by sleep head to toe, make sure the beds are 6 feet apart. And same very careful with the bathroom. You've got to clean the doors and windows, to the doors, handles and frequently touch surfaces after you leave them. That's explained here. And you should be doing, if you've got COVID-19, now if our government was to offer, suppose I am not going to visit my relatives over Christmas. I usually do. I'm not this year. But just suppose I did, and I suppose I'm very careful at home, but suppose something happened on the journey, I would have to use public transport, and there's a slight risk, and I've got COVID-19. As soon as I discovered COVID-19, I got COVID-19, I would want to isolate from the rest of everyone else immediately. Straight away, as soon as I had symptoms, before you get tested. And then if the government offered me supported quarantine or isolation in a COVID-19 isolation ward or hospital or hotel or a community centre, I would jump at the opportunity, even though my relatives would have the possibility of a separate bathroom for me and large rooms and so on, but I would jump at the opportunity to not offer any risk to them in their household. If you're not in the same household, that's zero risk of it passing on to them. If you are in the same household, if you do all these precautions, it's greatly reduced risk, almost zero. But zero is better than almost zero, so I would jump at that opportunity if I was in that situation. So that's the main thing. Just if you have COVID-19, this is my second of the 4 things that people don't seem to know. I'll put the link to this in my video description, put a link to the CDC advice. Go and have a read of that and follow that advice. And it is not at all inevitable. It shouldn't happen indeed. It should be very rare. If someone has COVID-19 symptoms, it should be very rare for anyone else in the household to get the symptoms, because they would immediately isolate. And if they do that, then the Chinese experience is that if you isolate straight away, it usually reduces the risk of anyone else in your household getting it. You get so many sad stories. Someone, and it's quite often, the ones that hit the news, of course, are when the relatives die. And so you hear about someone who's struggling in hospital, and then some of their relative at home died. And it's pretty certain that if they'd isolated straight away, as soon as they had symptoms, then the other relative wouldn't have died. If it was that way around. We could have saved many lives by doing this. And the advice is there, but it's not emphasised. We should have ads. Every day there should be an ad explaining this. It should be no doubt in anybody's minds that this is the safest thing to do, and that you're risking the lives of others if you don't do that. I haven't seen a single ad. I generally watch the BBC and the BBC News. They have these endless ads about future BBC programmes. I haven't seen a single COVID-19 advertisement on the BBC. We are very much underusing, and I have not had a single booklet or leaflet put through my door on COVID-19, on how to protect myself, on how to protect the other people in my household. The United Kingdom is seriously underusing its capabilities to inform the public about what you should do. So anyway, I'm doing my little bit to try and help. I can't change the government policy. I can't start a new ad campaign on the BBC or change what's written on the NHS website or anything like that. But I can help the few people who watch my videos, and who knows, it might save some people's lives that they follow this advice. Not my advice, the advice of the World Health Organization, the advice of the CDC. I want to make it very clear, I am not advising you. I am just putting you in the direction of reading the materials by the CDC and the World Health Organization. Please have a look at what they say. And I strongly recommend reading this, following the World Health Organization, their social media Q/As, and if you are into the more technical stuff, their media briefings, then you get quite a lot of they've been all the way through. They provide the very best information that I've come across. And the US CDC is pretty good as well. They are pretty top class. I wouldn't rank the UK quite in the league of the US CDC. Anyway, so I'll stop.